Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. I have been solving math problems for GRE out of this book here, practicing to take the GRE General Test, the 10th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it in order to prepare for the exam. The problem that I'm about to solve is the one that you're going to find on page number 361. Quantitative comparison question number 9. Let's take a look at it. Number 9. They want us to compare these two quantities, 3 raised to x versus 4 raised to x. And they do not tell you anything at all about x. There are no constraints, there are no limitations as to what the x might be. They leave it wide open. 59% of people who took the exam got this question right, but more than 2/5 of them, 41%, missed it. And the reason why such a large percentage of the people is missing this question is because they sit there and they say to themselves, but obviously 3 squared is going to be more than 4 squared. 3 to the third is going to be more than 4 to the third, and so on and so forth. Always remember, if you have not watched my videos in the past, there are quite a few on the YouTube. This is the last exam that I'm doing, exam number 7. There are quantitative comparison questions on the first 6 exams. Each exam has 15 quantitative comparison questions in one section, and there are 2 sections. In other words, there are 30 quantitative comparison questions in each exam. I have already done 6 of those exams. In other words, there are 180 videos that are there that you can watch, and you will see that in many of the videos I talk about the fact that the numbers come in 2 flavors. Numbers come in 2 flavors. When you were a little boy in the school or little girl, we learned lots of different numbers. Our teachers taught us many different varieties of numbers: positive numbers, negative numbers, whole numbers, fraction, integers, prime numbers, real numbers, imaginary numbers. There are a whole bunch of different numbers that we were taught. Similarly, for the GRE, if you're going to sit for the GRE, always remember that numbers come in 2 flavors. What are those 2 flavors? Do you remember? I've talked about it many times in the past. Nice numbers? Yes, I know it's getting complicated. I know that. I'm sorry about that. Yes, it's getting quite complicated. Nice numbers and nasty numbers. Nice number is just any whole number, any whole positive number, any whole positive number. What are nasty numbers? Nasty numbers also come in 4 distinct flavors. The nastiest of all is 0. You must always contemplate 0, because 0 is a very tricky number. Weird things, unpredictable things happen when we started dealing with zeros. The next nasty is 1. So 1 does not appear here, it's the only exception. Any whole positive number except 1, because 1 is also nasty. 1 is nasty because 1 doesn't do anything. For example, if you ask me which one is bigger, 1 raised to 5 or 1 raised to 15, well, that's a very tricky situation, isn't it? Which is not the same as 10 raised to 5 versus 10 raised to 15. So 1 does weird things. 1 is nasty. And any numbers, if 27 times 2, of course, it's a different thing, but 27 times 1 doesn't do anything. It doesn't evolve. If you're dealing with the 1, it doesn't evolve. It just doesn't do anything to it. It behaves in a strange way. 0, 1, and then negatives. I better change my marker. This thing is annoying the hell out of me. Oh, great. This thing is going to probably annoy the hell out of me just as much. And then finally, fractions. So if you plug in nice numbers, if you plug in nice number, 2 squared versus 4 squared, you can clearly see that 4 squared is more than 3 squared, the answer is B. But what happens if you plug in any of the weird numbers? Like for example, always go in this order, don't mess it up, don't mix it up. To go in this order, it is written this fashion for a reason, because 0, even though it's weird, but it's very easy to deal with. For example, how much is 3 squared versus 4 squared? And this is something that you have to know. You have to know that any number raised to 0 equals 1. If you have any number n, let's call it n, raised to 0 equals 1. Doesn't matter what that number is. Any number raised to a power of 0 equals 1. So this is equals 1, that equals 1, therefore the answer is C now. As you can clearly see, we have a conflict. Before we had B, and now we have C. We have a conflict, and therefore the correct answer is D. That's it. Correct answer is D. Now just to amuse you, we could actually go and plug in 1. See what? If you plug in 1, nothing would have happened. If you plugged in 1, 3 raised to 1 is 3, and 4 raised to 1 is 4, the answer would not have changed, you see? So start with 0. And if 0 doesn't do the job, then you go down. If you plug in negative, the answer would change. Can you tell me what 3 raised to negative 1 is? 3 raised to negative 1 is 1/3. You should know this thing. And similarly, 4 raised to negative 1 is 1/4. Now as you can see, 1/3 is more than 1/4. Here, 3 squared was less than 4 squared. You see, it changes. Before the answer was B, now the answer is A. So in this scenario, if x happens to be negative 1, in this top scenario, the answer would have been A. Here the answer is B, here the answer is C. As you can see, it conflicts. But the top part that I did there, for the negative part, was a waste of time. It is not necessary. You only have to find one conflict. Before the answer was B, now the answer is C. Since we have a conflict, we are done. The answer is D. That was just to show you that what happens if you plug in negative or fractions. If you plug in fractions, the same complications would appear. And that's all. So because we have the answer keeps changing, the correct answer is D. Maybe I should not have put in this negative 1 part on the top here, because this is getting too crowded. There we go. But that was, as I said before, that was unnecessary, just for the learning purposes. What you have to understand is that you plug in 2, 3 squared is less than 4 squared, the answer is B in this case. But if you plug in 0, because there are no constraints on x, or that x does not belong in there. If you plug in, since there are no constraints on x, if you plug in 0 for x, 3 raised to 0 is 1, 3 raised to 0 is 1, and 4 raised to 0 is 1. Since they are both 1, the answer is C. Before it was B. Because the answer switched, the correct answer is D. That's all. That's what you have to keep in mind. You have to contemplate all the possibilities. Because when you pick an answer choice in quantitative comparison, whether you picked A or B or C, what you're claiming is, I'm going to read here on the top of the page. I'm going to read here on top of the page. Read with me. You have to have the book in front of you. Read the directions in front of me. It says A if quantity in column A is greater. Pick up a pencil and I want you to insert one word. Pick up a pencil and insert that one word I'm going to give you. A, when you pick answer choice A, what you're claiming is that A, because quantity in column A is always greater. Always, always, always greater. When you pick B, what you're claiming is that the quantity in column B is always greater. If you pick answer choice C, what you're claiming is that the two quantities are always equal. In order to make sure that you are correct in that assertion, in that claim, you must cover your derriere. And the way one covers one's derriere is by contemplating all these unusual situations. These are the unusual situations. What happens if one of the variables becomes 0? What happens if one of the variables becomes 1? What happens if the variables takes on a negative sign, negative value? What if they happen to be fractions? What if all the variables are of the same value? What if all the variables are 0? And so on and so forth. You only have to find one conflict from what you found when you did the nice scenario versus a nasty scenario, and if you find a conflict, then the correct answer is D, because it cannot be determined. It depends on the situation. I'm going to demarcate this thing so we do not get confused here. Not that there is a greater scope of getting confused, but anyway. Let me digress here. I just used this word, learn it. Open the dictionary and learn the word demarcate. Demarcation is a boundary, a border, an outline. So I just wanted to put a boundary around this part here. As I said, I wanted to demarcate it. Here is your demarcation. Anyway, if you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, I do tutoring over the internet via Skype. I also tutor face-to-face, and of course I also provide help over the telephone line. If there is anything at all that I can help you in your preparation for GRE, go to my website at www.for4gre.com and send me an email. Or you can go to www.KeshwaniPrep.com and send me an email. Alright? Thank you.